it's really common as human beings to dismiss possibilities before we even look into how or if it's possible. I had a very commonplace experience this week that just reminded me of how easy it is to dismiss possibilities and not even try. I had a doctor's appointment that I had scheduled quite a ways out, and it was scheduled for the middle of October, and I needed to reschedule it. And I was talking to Jim about that, and he's like, "Oh, you better get on that because we want to take advantage before the end of the year of this year's benefits before they renew." And so I kind of had it in my head of like, oh, it's going to be, maybe it could be hard to do this. And I kind of caught myself. Like, I know that I will be able to get in before the end of the year. So when I called to reschedule, I did say to the woman that I was willing to go to any of the different clinics that were, there's quite a few of them. And if there was an appointment in a different place, that would be fine. And she said, well, there's one in mid-November. And I thought, okay. And I said, is that the earliest we can get in? And we had a nice little chat beforehand. And I feel like we had this connection, and she really wanted to help me. And so she said, you know what, I'm not going to trust this computer system that they're giving me the soonest possibility. And so she looked actually at the clinic that I was planning on going to, and she said, oh, well, if you're available tomorrow morning, I've got one. So, just by asking, I was able to get an appointment, much earlier, which will be really great because it's actually for glasses, and I really have been needing new glasses, and I didn't want to wait until December to get them. But I think that this is a much bigger issue for us. And when I do the work of dreaming with people, most of my clients are middle-aged women who are really feeling this urge for something more. They've been mostly in some service aspect in their life, whether that's mothers or spouses or caretakers for their parents or in a job of a service-oriented job. And they're wanting to sort of listen to that inner calling. They feel there is something more. But when I begin this process with them, a lot of times, very commonly, they're not even able to dream big. We've spent so much of our time dismissing the possibilities. Oh, well, that couldn't work because of this. Or I couldn't get an appointment before the end of the year because it's so difficult. I'm never going to find love because I'm too old, or I'm too heavy, or I'm too stupid, or, all of those voices that we have that we convince ourselves are reality. And we don't even bother to try because we know it's never going to work. So I invite you this week to kind of try to push aside, or when you notice those voices coming up, to say to yourself, that is not the truth. The truth is that we are created out of the divine substance, this creative energy that moves through everything, that is everything. We are created of it. And we are given a mind and free will to begin to discover what it is that we feel called to do. And as soon as we start taking steps toward that inner calling, the divine will place in your path all kinds of support and will clear out of the way the obstacles that we think, oh, this could never work because it's gone. Life can be easy and fulfilling. And yes, we have a lot of fear and a lot of those voices that have historically been there, brought in by society, not just from our being parented by our parents, but just our life living, that we are not consciously creating. And when you're not consciously creating and just kind of seeing what happens, you get what happens. But when we start to use the creative process, when we start to bring in our divine will, begin to make decisions and take action towards a dream or a goal of something that we really want, when we begin to put those feelings of desire, what it is that we really want to be feeling. I'm wanting a love relationship. What I'm really wanting to feel is connected to someone, is loved by, is worthy, all of those things that we're really wanting. When we start to put those feelings on in our imagination, the universe takes that as, oh, this is what they want, and brings us that support, brings us those people and opportunities that wouldn't necessarily have been there. So if you're finding yourself dismissing a possibility before you even take a step toward it, I invite you to get quiet and listen to that inner voice, to make sure that this is what you're calling. This is what's really wanting to be expressed by you in the world. And if it's not, a good idea or something smart that you think, oh, this will make me money, or this is a good way to get somebody, when you really have a plan that is coming from that inner calling, to remember that you are always connected to that higher power, and take a step toward it. Just see what happens. Have a great week. Blessings.